Today is Tuesday. First thing today, I want to thank everybody for the well wishes. My leg is still painful, but so far so good, no infection. It's a little painful to walk on it. It's amazing how one small rooster can do so much damage, and like it's just a little poke in the leg, and you wouldn't think it could hurt as much as it does, but trust me, it does. I don't know if he like poked a tendon or a muscle or what, but yeah, it's pretty painful to walk on it. But I wanted to thank y'all for that, and getting a little tired of taking the antibiotics. It's a lot of pills to swallow in one day. But today, Eddie and I are going to work on putting some metal on my shop. The barn is on hold because of the mill. We have some other projects that we need to do too, but they're all dependent on the mill. So everything is pretty much on hold for now. So we don't have a whole lot to do this week. We are going to put some metal on the shop and probably move some of the dirt to inside the shop because we need to fill that floor up and get it packed down. We also need to put some dirt around the outside. But that's pretty much all we have for this week because of the problems with the mill. So let's just jump right into it and see if we can get some of this metal put up.
You ready?
Yeah.
Like?
Yes. No, that didn't work.
What the hell? I couldn't do that again if I tried. Like?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday. Not gonna do much today. It's hot out. Still not feeling the greatest from these antibiotics, but I went up to the garden and I thought, well, I'll pick the rest of the green beans. There should only be a few. So I went up and I didn't bring a bowl with me because I thought I would just get a handful and then bring them down, and I wanted to show you what I got. So I got this bowl full of green beans, and we got some peas and just 2 little potatoes. I was checking the potato plants just to see if they were making potatoes, how big the potatoes were, and those kind of like popped off the plant in my hand, so got 2 little potatoes. But I still have 37 jars of green beans that I canned up last year, so I'm gonna wash these up and give them all away to the neighbors. Yeah, I mean, this is our first major harvest off the green beans, and I only planted a 10-foot by 3-foot bed. I don't know what kind they were. They were just a bush bean. Every year I tell myself, write it down, keep track so you know what you grew. Well, I didn't. I never remember to. I always write down when I start the seeds early, but when I just start the seeds outside, then I forget to write it down. So they're a bush bean, that's all I can tell you, but they sure do produce a lot. So I'm gonna wash these up and I'm going to deliver them to our neighbors. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday and it's hot and it's hot. But here's the mushroom bed. We haven't seen any mushrooms yet. I've been keeping it moist. I did speak with northspore.com this morning to just ask them how long I should be waiting to hopefully see something, and they said a month to a couple of months, and it hasn't even been a month yet, so I'm not gonna get impatient. But today Eddie and I need to fix the wires on the grapes because the grapes actually decided to grow a little bit this year, so we need to put a new wire up on it so that they have a place to lean on or climb on, or you know, they do their grapes things. We have one grape plant that actually has some grapes on it, and I'm hoping we get some and the birds don't take them all. But check that out, we actually have grapes on here. So there's like 2 little bunches right there, and then 2 or 3 little bunches right there, and then there's a bunch right there, and the other, that grape there we just planted, and the one down on the end is not producing this year. But as you can see, this wire is super loose, so we're going to tighten that wire up, and then we're going to run a new wire up probably about a foot so that this part can go up to the next wire and hold it up so it's not hanging over. So it's all up to Eddie now. Now don't pull so tight that you pull the post down.
About yay, dear.
I don't know, just pull it as tight as you can pull it.
I'm just saying height-wise.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Is that where it was? This is, wait. So this is the professional cowboy way of tying wire. You just wrap it 100 times.
Then you back it.
Oh, then you have to go backwards 100 times.
Yeah, so it don't loosen.
There you go. That's a professional way to tie wire. Eddie knows all the little tricks. Okay. So that wire is definitely tighter now. Yeah, it feels good. Okay, so I think we just want to go up for like about a foot, because I really want this branch here to be on the, leaning on the wire. So you're gonna need my help, aren't you? No?
You just tell me where you want.
A foot? I just did.
Yeah,
Do you need to go back and watch the video to hear what I said?
Your foot and my foot's 2 different things.
No, we wear the same size shoe, honey.
I wasn't talking about shoe size.
You said our feet. My foot and your foot, they're the same size. Here we go with the professional tie wire and wire tying. Wire tying?
Wire tiring?
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing. Professional wire tying. Wrap forward, wrap backwards. And if you knock off the grapes off the plants, I will make you eat with the dog.
Send me out to my doghouse?
Yeah. Where's your doghouse? Oh, the barn, right? You're gonna sleep in the barn with the chickens. Well, that's a little high there. Can you go down a little bit?
More?
I don't know, cause like I think it'll be all right. Maybe we should like tie a wire between the two just to hold it down for a while, so that I really want to give this one some support upwards. I think that satsuma tree right there is totally dead. There's nothing on it, not one leaf. It means we can cut it down and dig it out. We'll start our blueberry row over there. What do you think?
Yeah.
Start some blueberries on that row. We'll have grapes and then blueberries. And then when we cut down the next row, sooner or later, we're going to end up with no satsuma trees. While we're up here in the garden, we have one peach on our peach tree. But I bet we don't get to eat it. I bet it either rots or the birds get it. But at least we got a peach and it's still alive. Now this tree, this is also a peach tree, but you can see the main leader pretty much died off. But we got all the suckers coming out from the bottom. So it's still alive. The plum trees. This plum tree is doing great, totally covered in leaves, which we need to prune the suckers off, but they haven't, it didn't flower this year. And then this prune, or not prune tree, a plum tree. This plum tree has some leaves, but it's not doing as well. I think some of the tips have died off, but it's still alive. As long as it's alive, there's always a chance. So I haven't showed the garden in a while. We've been working off and on putting this landscape fabric down. Now this here that I'm walking on, this actually isn't done because we didn't till underneath it yet. And putting it down does not kill off all the grass and weeds. But this aisle is all done. We tilled it. We pulled out all the weeds, all the nut grass, whatever it is. And see, there's some coming up. There's some grass coming up along the beds. We're still gonna have to keep pulling every now and then because those roots, those grass roots, they travel underground and they pop up wherever they want to. But yeah, so we have this row done, and then this outer row is done, but you can't tell because of all the weeds coming from the farm in. But it's a lot better because, and the reason we did this, the reason we were putting this landscape fabric down is just because now you can see that there's no ant den, because many times I would kneel down in the grass here to deal with the garden and I'd be kneeling in an ant den and not even know it. So now you can see, you know, there's no ants on top of this. We do need to sweep it off, get the dirt off of it, but there's no ants on top of it. They might be under it, but they're not on top of it. Okay, I wanted to show you a tomato plant here. These tomato plants right here are loaded with tomatoes. Check this out. I am shocked at how many tomatoes are on that one plant right there, and they're all like that. They're all getting a lot of tomatoes on them. And let's see what kind these are, huh? This year I put tags. I wrote it on a piece of paper, put it in a baggie, and stuck it behind the fence. These are beefsteak indeterminates. And I don't think they're indeterminate because they're not growing any taller. You can see those tomatoes. Let's see. These were actually the first tomatoes to go in, and they're only, I don't know what, 2.5, 3 feet tall. And these are up here. These are like over 4 feet tall. So I don't think those are indeterminates. I think those are determinates. That's why they're all putting on so many tomatoes all at once, and they're not getting any bigger. But I'm okay with that. As long as we get tomatoes, then I'm happy. Okay. Also, we did harvest all of our potatoes because the plants were just dying. You forgot to harvest your asparagus, by the way.
I'll have to do that tonight.
Anyways, all the tomato plants were dying. Like I would pull up one plant. I'd be like, well, this one's just about dead. Let's pull it out, see if there's any potatoes. And so I'd do that. And there was ants fire ants inside the potatoes, like they made a home inside the potatoes and they would come running out, and it was a mess. Now we did get a little bit of potatoes, and I wanted to try canning potatoes this year to see if that's a viable way to preserve them. So I canned up,
I think something's chewing on the chart.
I canned up 3 quarts of potatoes that came out of our bed. I didn't show the potatoes. They were nothing to be proud of. They were small because they were only in the ground for like 2 months. So they were small potatoes. And like I said, the fire ants were a huge problem. But at the time, I was also waiting for the potatoes to come in the mail that I had ordered. And those finally came in, and we did put them in the ground. And I'm afraid it might get way too hot, way too fast for them to do anything. But we did plant them. So we put this black cloth down to try to keep the weeds down. And this row here is almost 100% germination. I think there's like 2 holes that don't have anything in it yet. I didn't look today. They might all be full, but then this row here is doing pretty good. It looks like there's maybe 4 or 5 holes that they didn't come up yet. And this row, there ain't shit. I think there's 2 or 3 plants in this whole row. I don't know what happened here, but yeah, they didn't come up. And like I said, I don't know if anything's gonna produce because it is so hot here already. And to me, I'm thinking that black plastic is just gonna heat up the dirt even more. So I don't know. See, there's like 1, 2, 3. I think I saw 3 plants in this first row. And then I've got a couple of sweet potatoes over there. Oh, look, here's some of these potatoes. So I left these here because when I grabbed them, and I didn't realize that they were full of ants. But you can see the holes in there. And I picked it up, and the ants came flooding out and went up my arm. So I dropped it and I left it. And yeah, so all of these potatoes here just got left in the ground. That one's rotting now. So if anybody knows how to keep fire ants out of potatoes, I'd love to hear it. But I put a couple of sweet potatoes in that row just because I had extra sweet potatoes. And as an experiment this year, I mean, we didn't really plan it that way, but we were talking about it afterwards, and we were like, hey, this is gonna give us some information. We planted some potatoes over here in the corn bed because the corn's way down there. We didn't get nowhere near enough corn planted yet. I don't know if we will, but we had this spot here, and we had some extra potatoes after planting all of those in the bright sunshine. We had some left over, so we put them here on the edge, and down there they get shade a lot. Like, they get sun in the morning, but then it's mostly shade from about noon on. And so we figure if these potatoes survive and we harvest them, if the ones in the corn bed did better than the ones out there in full sun all day long, then we'll know, you know, this time of year we need to plant them in partial shade. So, okay, one last thing I promise. One more thing in this garden that I'm really happy about is the olive tree. So we had that late frost. I'm sure everybody kind of suffered that, but we had a late frost that killed off a lot of tree blooms. But noticed the other day we have some olives. So there's not a ton of them, but we did just plant this tree this year. So if I get 1 olive off of this, I'll be happy. I mean, I can't really do anything with 1 olive because I'm not going to preserve 1 olive, but it would still be awesome to get an olive off of it because, you know, like I said, we just planted it. I didn't expect olives this year, so that's awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Friday, and as you saw in the previous clip, we are shredding up some trees. Our fence line is about 20 feet into these trees right here, and it gets a little bit deeper up the other end. And so we want to clear all this out up to our fence line, and then we're going to fence it off. We have a neighbor that likes to mow, and they come out and they mow half of our field here, and then it looks kind of stupid because they mow half of it and then I don't mow the other half. So we're just going to get this fenced off, and then in the future we hope to have some animals up here. But before we can get it fenced off, we need to find this fence line and cut all this stuff, all the brush out, all the way up the fence line to the road, and that way it'll make room for the fence. I know this week's video not as much work as previous weeks. The sawmill being out of commission right now really put a halt to a lot of the things that we had going on. So we don't really have a lot to do. I mean, we have things that like this that have just been sitting here, and we keep talking about getting it done, and we figured now is a good time to do it because we need lumber for everything else. We need more lumber to finish putting the metal up on my shop. We need more lumber to finish the barn. We need lumber to build a bathroom. So hopefully next week we'll get some more work done. I mean, we may just continue on this field here if we still don't have the parts for the sawmill, but we appreciate everybody being here with us. We really love all of you being here. Love to read your comments. Love to see the same people over and over. It's wonderful. And we'll see you next week.